and welcome back to Dragon's Demize at Origins 2018. We're so excited to be here introducing Stan Kordonskiy. I met Stan at Midwinter Game Festival 2 years ago?
2 or 3.
2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And we hit it off, and we ran into him yesterday, and he was so excited that he agreed to do an interview with us. And before we get started, I want to say thank you to the Western Ohio Games folks for letting us use some of their space since it's Saturday. It's pretty busy here, as you can probably see behind us. More people in costume, lots of people out for Pride. So it's a very exciting day at Origins. So, Stan, how's your convention so far?
It's good. Thanks for having me. Yeah, busy, running around, doing things, you know, trying to accomplish as much as possible. It's been
good. So, Jenga Interview. All the tiles have topics corresponded. So red is going to be questions about the game industry. Blue are going to be questions about your games, and green are going to be completely random, out of the blue questions.
Okay, sounds exciting.
So you go first.
Okay, let's do. So
you can't pick it on the top. You have to
okay. You can tell I'm a little rusty here. All right, let's do this one. I think I got it.
So then you put it on the top.
All right, thank you for this refresher.
No, you're not the only one that's needed it.
There we go.
All right, so game industry questions. We did discover yesterday that, at least for me, there was a lot of red questions.
Okay.
So we'll start with an easy one. What made you decide to transition from the gaming hobby into working in the gaming industry?
I think it's the desire to kind of see my vision come to life and to have other people sort of validate it by liking it. You know, and that's what the main driver is, because I had a lot of fun just designing things to play with friends, but then I just thought, you know, what would other people think about it? And you know, maybe other people will enjoy it, and you know, they'll like it, and I'll make more games, and kind of grow myself, learn new skills, become better at this. And you can't really do it if you sort of like always in a bubble with your friends.
Yeah.
You got to go out there, get rejected, kind of get slapped down, be told your stuff sucks sometimes, but it helps you grow. You know, it makes you a better a board gamer. You know, it makes you a better kind of hobby ambassador.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of that was kind of my motivation.
Awesome, cool. All right, so it's my turn.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna try this one. Ask some games questions. So, funny story, guys. When I was on our way here, we were driving the car listening to some Origins previews, and we heard about this game, Rurik, Dawn of Kiev, and I have a degree in Russian, so I was super excited to try this game, and then come to find out my friend Stan has designed it. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about Rurik, because that's coming out on Kickstarter here in July, right?
Yes, July 10th is the day we have set right now. Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm here doing demos for it. The publisher's promoting it at the booth. It's going great. People are showing a lot of interest. I just thought it'd be an interesting theme for a Euro game. Just to kind of move away from Western European history or maybe like Asian history, which people are really familiar with, and it's well liked, but it's also something that's kind of becoming almost too familiar. So I thought to introduce a piece of Russian history into the mix. I think it's an exciting historical period people don't know about, but when you kind of give them you give them the synopsis, you know, they get excited. They get excited to play. They want to kind of embody these princes and princesses in the game. And it's history based. You know, it's not a history lesson. It's historical fiction.
Sure.
You're trying to replay the history. You're not trying to recreate it. So it's a game first, but it's rooted enough to where I feel like if a person plays it and says to themselves, you know, I'd like to know more, I'm going to pick up a book at the library.
Right.
You know, look it up online. I think that I accomplished something there.
Absolutely. And as someone with a little bit of background in Russian, I knew who Prince Vladimir was. I appreciated the artwork a lot. I definitely appreciated that you introduced women characters into, even though that was, well, women were strongly represented at the time. They were a part of it.
Yeah. You know, historically we don't know too much about it, but there is no doubt, there's very little doubt that they were involved. You know, so you can easily infer that they were an important part of that.
I definitely think Russia could be the next Vikings. You know.
Yeah, they were closely related to them. A lot of people believe, they're split on that. But, like I said, this is historical fiction.
Sure.
But yeah, absolutely. I think they were exciting bunch of people.
Yeah. I can see an area control game with the Mongol tribes coming in to take over. That could be a thing.
Right. Hey,
yeah.
that's
Eric
if it catches
Lang,
on.
if you're listening. All right. So it is your turn.
Okie doke. Should I try to
It's hard to play this game because you're also looking for different types of questions.
Right.
So apparently there's a one-handed rule in Jenga, but I broke it yesterday.
Oh, thank you.
So...
Thank God, because I'm already cheating here.
All right, green. One of my favorite green questions so far this weekend has been, what is your favorite game that you did not create? And that can be, you can name a couple, because so far nobody's been able to limit it to just one.
All right, so I'm going to preface by saying I consume just games,
Sure.
as a designer, and even the ones I don't get to play, I read the rule books. So I might, it might be like a little bit hard for me. So let me think for 1 second.
No problem.
I love so many games that other people made. I think the latest gem that I've played to me was Rajas of the Ganges.
Okay.
Did I pronounce it right? R&R game, I think published that one. I don't know if it came from Europe. I think it might have. But man, the dice manipulation, dice placement, there's no bad rolls in that game. It's simple, but it's elegant. It's kind of thematic. It's got all these just little bits and pieces. I rarely get to play a game a lot just because, being busy with your own designs that cuts into your gaming.
Right.
But that game, I played it like 4 or 5 times after I played it, which is like a lot for me. That's a lot, just because I don't get to play that much. So, yes. So that was not as hard to answer as I thought it would be.
Yeah, there you go.
Rajas.
Awesome. We'll have to check it out. I haven't played that yet.
Yeah, you would like it, I think.
Yeah?
I know a little bit your gaming tastes.
Sure.
I think that's going to be in your wheelhouse.
Cool. Awesome. I'm definitely going to check that out. All right, my turn. So this is a little precarious here. All right. I'm going to go for another blue question.
All right.
All right. So, what was the first game you designed, and what inspired that first game?
So the first game I designed was Dice Hospital. It was my first design.
That's when I met you.
Yeah, and that was my first serious design. I'm not gonna count like little pen and paper games I made for myself and my friends in the category. That was my attempt to sort of bring the game out to the people. I didn't know, I was still learning so much. I ended up actually kind of not self-publishing exactly, but I created it on Game Crafter for sale, kind of available.
Sort of like print and play kind of.
Yeah. Game Crafter, it's kind of the platform. I sort of like bought some art from an artist and just kind of made like a very low kind of level copy of it, but it was still like a complete game. So it was my first complete game. It had the rules, it had all the pieces, it had the box with the art, it had the back of the box. So it was my first foray into full game, not just like a bunch of rules. And so that's the game that kind of then set me off. Then I started believing in myself more.
Yeah.
I was like, I can do it, right? It's hard, but now it's gonna get easy.
Yeah.
And so then after that, it just, even before it got signed, just the process of seeing that box in the store, even though it wasn't really bought by but I was like, okay.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's fantastic. It's your turn.
Okay. So red is the industry, huh?
Yeah.
Well, left-handed.
Yeah. I take it you're not left-handed.
No, sir. All right.
All right. So now that you've been in the gaming industry, sort of quasi-professionally for a couple years, what would be your advice to someone trying to break in?
Yeah, you know what? Like, that's a great question. I don't actually get asked that a lot because I'm not like famous or recognizable enough.
But being a new person, I think, is a good question.
Yeah, I feel like I still need to ask that myself.
Sure.
But from what experience I have gained over the past few years, I would say face-to-face is super important.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's not, you can't just meet people to pitch. You just have to meet people to meet people. I just go around and I introduce myself to publishers I don't have pitches for, because it's important. It's a very still small industry, relatively, and it really helps that people know who you are.
Yeah.
It's not just your game that's going to be picked up, it's you. So don't forget that. It can't just be like a brilliant game that's sort of disattached. It's always going to be attached to a designer for the publisher, and then for public eventually too.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. Oh,
So,
eventually the public.
Yeah. So yeah, of course, design a solid game, right? Design a cool game. You know, take chances. Like, think about who you're designing it for. Like, be really try to be as complete as you can. It's hard, but you know, try to think of everything. Who's gonna play it? How they're gonna play it? But then on top of that, make sure that the industry also knows who you are, and make sure that you know, are easy to work with. It's just like a job interview. It's like it's kind of like any endeavor, you know.
Awesome. Cool. All right. What's next? All right. I think we're gonna go for a green question. Typically, I don't like putting them on top. Typically, I like to ask about other hobbies, but I learned yesterday that you also CrossFit, and I CrossFit. So I'm going to ask a couple real short CrossFit questions so we don't derail the whole gaming. Reebok Nanos, Metcons, or Nobles?
Reebok Nanos, I think, for me personally.
What's your favorite Olympic lift?
My favorite Olympic lift is power clean.
Awesome. Also my favorite. And what is your best friend time?
My best friend time, which is not my current friend time, so don't go to my gym and try to time me, but my best friend time was, I believe it was under 9 minutes.
Nice.
So yeah,
Nice.
I'm kind of
Well
proud
done.
of it. It is not what it is now. It's going to be in double digits now for sure. But
Yeah,
I think it was closer to 8 than it was to 9 when I was.
Well done. Yeah. Cool. All right, it's your turn.
All right. Right.
There we go. All right, games. Do you find that there is any particular game style or game mechanic that keeps coming back for you, that is represented in a lot of your games? And tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah, I try not to. I try not to rely too much on that. I try to see what a good fit is. I think like I'm trying to look at it from more of a perspective, like who is going to play this game, down the road. But dice, I think, are featured in a lot of my games, although I have designed 2 diceless games to date. But I think dice manipulation and dice is such a basic component. It's challenging because you have to find new ways, like, dice in the game, So then it's like, sort of becomes a challenge, right? Like, how do you give people dice and have them be excited about it again? What do they represent? How do they function? So I think I like the challenge of it, but I diceless games are also great. But yeah, for me, it's kind of a good fit. Like, it has to be a good fit. I'm not going to force a dice in a game that doesn't need it or it doesn't fit in well.
Cool. All right. That's getting precarious. This is always where it starts to get difficult. This is how my dad plays Jenga.
Yeah, tap.
Yeah. Oh. Green.
Let's see.
I don't have another
Serious
green
player.
question.
You have to make one up?
Yeah. I'm going to steal from Greg, which I did yesterday too. I think this question was asked in all of our interviews. So, what is your favorite donut?
Chocolate covered eclair. Is that a donut? No, that's eclair. Okay, let's say. How about as long as the donut is chocolate frosted and it has chocolate frosting on it and filling in it.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. I don't even care if it's jam or cream. Well, it's got to be like No sprinkles.
Okay.
You know, chocolate on top, filling inside.
I gotta admit, I love sprinkles. When I was a kid, sprinkles were like pixie dust on food. It's like glitter that you can eat. So I was always excited. But
I'm a chocoholic, so
yeah,
you know.
awesome.
Hi, my name is Stan, and I'm a chocoholic. So.
Awesome.
All right.
Have you been to North Market with the donuts
I have,
over there?
Yeah, I've used it, but I hadn't had the donuts from there. They actually look scary. They're so big and they just glisten, and it just frightens me that once I eat it, I won't be able to stop.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So,
all right.
Should I try one more?
Yeah.
We've
got plenty of time.
Plenty of time. This is about to collapse. Oh, okay. Steal a page from your rule book. Or playbook, rather. A red industry
question. So let's talk a little bit about your experience with Kickstarter. And Kickstarter's, we've talked a lot, I know, on other interviews about how Kickstarter sort of exploded in the last few years. And I think for me, it came out of nowhere, like most things with technology these days. Now I sound old, I'm sorry. But it kind of came out of nowhere, and it's both a great tool and also sort of intimidating. So what's your experience been?
Yeah, well, I want to say first, I'm not responsible for a lot of Kickstarter things that go on with my games, because publishers handle basically 99.9% of it. So maybe a little bit input here and there, but my experience is more as a consumer.
Sure.
Rather than somebody who uses Kickstarter personally. Maybe in the future I will Kickstart something. You never know.
Directly, yeah.
But as a consumer, I think that it is good. The growth of it is good, and the fact that it pushes the bar kind of for what needs to be done to appeal to the customers, I think that's good. I just kind of like, there's some negatives maybe people can point out, but I just kind of want to concentrate on a few positive things.
Yeah.
That because of the competition on Kickstarter, it brings it raises the bar, right? Like minis now is standard. Good stretch goals. People are very discerning. The customer base is very discerning, so they look at these stretch goals and they know what they're worth, and they know what the game should be priced, and it really keeps the industry customer friendly in the long run. They want responsiveness from the companies. They want to be heard, to have direct feedback into campaigns, direct feedback in the games. The people know everything. They know what the shipping is. They know, and they won't. You can't BS them.
Yeah.
And because of that, that's good. That pushes the industry to be more honest, more open, more responsive. It's not like this top-down, hey, I got this product, take it or leave it. It's more like, what would you like? How can we make it better? How can this be a bad thing?
Yeah, that's true. Awesome. All right, my turn. All the blue ones are on the bottom. How did that happen? Right. Yay! All right. So I mentioned earlier that in Rurik, Dawn of Kiev, there's 2 women in that game. What was the process like of deciding to bring in representation in that game and in any other games that you have? Because that's kind of, a topic close to my heart. I know I mention it a lot.
Yes. Well, first off, it's a trend anyway. Double-sided characters. Yep. Do you want to be a man or a woman? This became standard, right? Before it was like, oh, this game has that. Wow, I can play as a... We now know that women gamers need to also be acknowledged, right? Mm-hmm. The girls love to play games, so that's a big part of it. And so now it just became standard. But for this, it's like I couldn't leave it out. Like historically, he had daughters.
Right.
It's reasonable to suspect they were quite powerful women, and so I already had a role for them. And you're right. There's 4 princes, 2 princesses, but in our stretch, if we have enough, we would like to put a couple more princesses in as well as like a prince or 2. If there's enough to make sculpts and art and all this other stuff, and the molds for the minis, because the minis are quite beautiful.
Are beautiful on this game.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
but it wasn't easy. It was just like, hey, this is what happened. These people were there.
Yep.
They got to be in the game. They got to be cool. You know, they got to be. You know, they're just every match. And I actually noticed that everybody likes to play with them.
Yeah.
You know, because really people look at their special powers. So every character has a special power.
Yep.
And some of their special powers are BA, and people are like, oh, look at her. I'm gonna play with her. So you know, there's this like appearance, history, and game effect. They kind of come together.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's just what it is. I think you can just expect most games, if they have characters, they're gonna have pretty much equal representation.
And it's funny because a lot of games use history as an excuse for why women aren't represented in their game, which is difficult. You know, oh, I didn't want to change the history, et cetera, and you know, so it's good that you're pointing out that that's not necessary.
No. I mean, you don't have to look very hard to find women being involved throughout the history in almost anything. You know, you have to work pretty hard to exclude. You know, you got kind of go out of your way. So.
Awesome.
Not happening.
I'm glad to hear it. Right. I think we have time for probably one more question.
It's my turn?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh.
I'm getting kind of more time.
All right. Cool. All right. Red. So what is next for you?
Oh, yeah. Good question. So I have a July 10th Rurik Kickstarter, Lockup, which is my diceless role player.
We talked about that yesterday.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's
Sorry.
September.
Let's talk a little bit about that for me.
You know, it's. I'm very excited about it. I think there'll be like more talk. The publisher is now trying to like kind of build up steam, but it's kind of early. You know, they like to fire things early. But it's a diceless role player game that has the art and the characters and some mechanics as far as scoring from role player, but then it uses diceless mechanics. So it's kind of an interesting twist. It's a standalone game, but it's like a chapter because it's kind of role player is growing in its own beast, you know.
Oh, nice.
And so I was very happy to kind of design that. And so that's complete, that's done. We're just working on just last minute things and polishing it up, but the art and everything is already in effect. And then I'm here doing a couple of pitches for games. I designed kind of a dice manipulation and drafting food game that I'm calling Dice Chefs, but that's, you know, who knows what it's going to be called. So don't get hung up on it. But it's the interesting thing about it is that you use dice as ingredients in dishes. If a dish needs like chicken and vegetables and grain, you have like the red die and the green die and the yellow representing, and then the pips on the die represent the flavor, so you increase and decrease based on the recipe, and then you kind of serving it into this dining room. You're trying to impress the people, so there's like blocking, drafting, manipulation. It's for those people who are familiar with Dice Hospital, that kind of satisfying puzzle solving that comes from putting the right combos together is kind of the driving force. But it's a little bit more of it's got a unique drafting system that completely different from how you draft in Dice Hospital.
Cool.
So yeah, it's kind of cool. I'm really excited. Yeah.
Everybody has to eat. We all know food.
Yeah, I've been meeting with a lot of publishers here. I've been getting really good feedback. I'm very encouraged, which doesn't always happen. Sometimes you're told to go back and start over. But yeah, it's been well received so far. I'm hoping by the end of this, I'm gonna be handing out some prototypes and then, you know, getting this done. I'm excited for other people to play it, you know, and tell me what they think.
Cool. All right. Well, the other rule of Jenga Interview is the tower does have to come over. So.
Well, it's your turn.
It is my turn, but you're supposed to, as the interviewee, topple the tower. Let's see.
I can't believe I hadn't.
I know. You thought you were going to topple it on the first question.
Oh yeah, I was so worried it would be like one and done. One question.
All right. So I'm going to ask a quick green question.
Okay.
All right. What's your favorite book?
My favorite book is Alice in Wonderland.
Awesome.
By Lewis Carroll.
That's
awesome
a great book. Yeah.
Yep, can't wait till my daughter's old enough for me to read it to her. That's an excuse for
how
me
old
to
is
read
she?
2 years and 2 months, and she's just a little too young for that.
Yeah, but almost old enough for board games.
Almost. I'll give her a couple years before I start designing for her. But it's coming. You know,
That's
who knows?
awesome.
Watch out, Haba. All right.
All right, Tower's got to come over.
Okay, let's see here. I'm gonna do this one.
Hey!
Oops.
All right, one last green question. What's been your favorite place to eat out here in Columbus at Origins?
So far, I had the Polish food at the North Market, and that was pretty good. Unfortunately, I can't remember the name right now, but that was good. However,
Yeah.
I still didn't try Hot Chicken Takeover.
Oh, we
So
had that this morning.
It's beloved around here, so I'm not saying it's better than that, you guys. I'm just saying the best I tried was the Polish food.
If you want to try that, I recommend getting in line at like 10:45. That's what we did this morning, and it worked out really well.
That's why I hadn't tried it yet.
It was awesome. I haven't had the Polish food yet, but Jacob did because he's Polish.
Yeah.
And
we talked about it a little bit.
Yeah. So awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this interview. Thank you so much, Stan.
Thanks for having me.
So glad we ran into you yesterday. I'm so glad to hear you're doing this awesome Russian game that I can't wait to play again. I did demo it yesterday, real quick. Look forward to backing it on Kickstarter.
Thank you for your support.
You're welcome. And thank you so much. Join us for our next interview with Dragon's Demise in a little bit.